3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's MonroeMann here. By popular demand, I got a bunch of people who wanted me to do a live stream while watching the presidential debate. So I'm going to do that, and we will watch together. So hang tight. We're just waiting for it to get started, and we'll go from there.
And if you try to battle Trump on his personality, you run into a buzzsaw.
I'm eating some grapes right now. Frozen grapes.
Transpired in the 4 years since the
which are really delicious.
We were in that room.
Huh?
It was in the heat of COVID. And so much has changed in our country.
What's up, sugar?
On every single issue in this country and around the world.
Yeah, one thing hasn't changed. The same two people are up there.
That's right.
4 years later, right?
And it's going to be a stunning moment.
Indeed.
It is time.
What's up, Jody? Leave that on.
It's go time in Atlanta. President Biden and former President Donald Trump about to hit the debate stage. It is their first face-off, as we mentioned, in 4 years, and a pivotal moment in the race for the presidency.
So we are going to watch this.
They were still waiting for this thing to start.
All of us here on the panel and Sean Hannity in Atlanta.
No.
And you can stay with us from the beginning to the end on Fox News.
Starting at 9.
Afterwards, we'll have the post-debate.
What's up, Kafella? What's up, Kick Your App? Yeah, please, guys, click like.
Eastern. It's going to be fascinating.
Let's get to 25 likes on this one. On the last one, we got to 23 likes. I think we can get to 20, 24, 25.
Past each other. The commercials have run. The campaigns have.
I don't know if you know
insults. Now,
grapes.
The two men are on the stage.
Frozen, so good. These are frozen. Look.
There's a handshake here, and we'll watch this open right now.
Yum, yum.
American people with just over 4 months.
All right, it's starting right now. Look.
Good evening. I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of
So,
State of the Union. Dana and I will.
I'll give you my thoughts as I can.
Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates.
What?
Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determines their position.
I suggest you guys watch this too.
Answer a question, and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on, and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt?
No problem, Violetta. If you can't join, you can't join.
You understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate.
Yeah, we hope you're okay, Violetta.
To debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden. And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We all take a look at what I was like when I became president, like Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach in your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs.
I'm not gonna lie, Biden doesn't look as alive as Trump. And anyone who says otherwise is not watching. Just look at this.
That's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs.
Well,
we brought out another position where
Trump just looked like he was
you have
sleeping,
guys
actually,
who
with his
actually
eyes
don't.
closed, so
But there's more to be done.
maybe we could criticize both of them.
Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania, from a household where the kitchen table things weren't able to be met during the month was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination of what is left with the corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you
Click
have
like
to
and
put
subscribe,
Monroe
guys.
in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, those things were in chaos. Still literally chaos. And so we put things back together, we created ourselves a job, we make sure we had a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for an insulin shot, it's called $100. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all the drugs they will be getting next year. New situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price of buying the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary.
Thanks for clicking like.
The Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy.
They let us stop cutting yourself.
No wars.
That's not good.
Everything was rocky.
Don't do that.
But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should
Don't do that.
Getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created were for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, the bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you, President Biden.
Oh, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he's the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised the deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, we were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had the notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump.
What's up, Banana? My name is Monroe, and we're watching the presidential debate for who's going to be the new president. And I'm going to just share my commentary as we go.
How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
Not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. Is going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave
Everyone, a lot of statisticians and data analysts say that this is going to be 100% Trump win, and I think so too. I don't think Biden has the capability to be president for another 4 years. Look at him. Look at this.
And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money.
He's just becoming too old, and you need to be really sharp to be president of the United States.
There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan.
I want Trump to win just because he's been treated very poorly, and I think he deserves a second chance. Let's watch.
In the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars.
Just look at the difference in energy.
The country was going.
Trump has so much energy, Biden is barely able to stay awake. You got to stay awake if you're president. You know, that's the bare minimum requirement.
We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. When the vaccine went out, he did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell
Thank you, Violetta, for sharing the rules.
Throughout the entire
Awesome.
world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States.
Everyone watching on the live
We're like a
stream.
third world nation between weaponization of his
People on
own
YouTube
children
Live.
to go after his political opponent.
Really?
All
Could I
of
have
the
it on
things
my
he's
phone
done,
too?
we've become like a third world nation.
I think so.
And it's a shame. The damage he's done to
Where's
our
your phone?
country.
You
And
can
I'd
get
love
some
to
extra
ask him and
credit.
know why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to
me see.
immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000
He's doing a good
trillionaires in
job,
America. I
Biden.
mean, billionaires in America.
Yeah, he's not doing
And what's
bad.
happening? They're in a situation where they in fact pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 million, billion dollars, in a 10-year period. You'd be able to wipe out these debts.
It's my
you'd be able
live
to
stream. Just
make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me,
Spicy.
dealing with everything we have to do with, look,
Oh, look what you're doing.
if we finally beat
What's up, Rips Best? Yeah, we've got a good battle royal going on right here, everybody.
Medicaid, beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare. Because
I wanna know
all of
why
these
you're
people are
talking to
coming
us at my
in,
table.
they're putting them on Medicare.
The
they're
YouTube
putting
Live
them on
people.
Social Security, they're gonna destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Dan?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning,
If you notice, Joe Biden started to talk and reply to Donald Trump, but the new rules turn off the microphones when the other person is talking, and maybe that's a good thing, actually, because it made it very
For
clear.
the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of
I'm
abortion to
sorry,
the
you have to go
states.
through this for us.
However, The federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medications?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, and getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that an end result. It was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought.
For those tuning in, we're watching the presidential debate, and I'm giving commentary as we go. Let's get back to watching it. Thanks for clicking like, guys.
And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical, because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they were all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're at a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in there. You talk about that. Here's the deal. There's a lot of young women being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous. And they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world.
I do agree with that. I'm a former immigration attorney, and I'm just, even one death of an American by an illegal immigrant is too many. And we should really close that border and vet every immigrant who comes over this border to make sure they are good, law-abiding people who are going to contribute to this economy, not rape young 12-year-old, 13-year-old girls and kill them. It's just absolutely bonkers. And unfortunately, Biden doesn't seem to care. Trump is going to deport many of these illegal immigrants, and they should be going back to where they came from. And get in line and come here in the way that everybody should, legally, by using the visa process.
Staying with the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the one making decisions about a woman's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states run take it after birth. Again, the governor, former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen. Democrat or Republican, nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. Takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have
He did the typical Trump thing,
on your watch.
and he got cut off.
And overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, but made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers, significantly.
It's a bunch of baloney what he's saying right now. The border is wide open. Anybody can cross the border from any country. It's called catch and release. ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, grabs them, Customs Border Patrol, and just gives them a appearance ticket, releases them into the United States and says, come back to an immigration hearing in 3 months, 4 months. Do they ever come back? Of course not. So there's no accountability. We have no idea who these people are running around in this country, which is why there's so much illegal immigrant crime. And yes, they are illegal immigrants. That's actually, that's what they are. I'm not going to be politically correct about that. They came here illegally and they're an immigrant.
I don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we have the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation, because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We have the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest.
You just called him Brandon.
There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming out in
President
caravans.
Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across the border is one who came along and killed 3, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person coming in.
What the heck is he talking about?
Killed 3 American soldiers. Killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through. The idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people. That's simply not true. There's no support we say. Once again, it's exaggerated.
I hope you're having as much fun as I am.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second, he said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with a bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, in every state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast, because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City.
I don't know. It seems like it.
Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse.
So I'm a veteran. I'm an Iraq veteran, and it's true. Why are illegal immigrants being treated better than veterans who fought in our wars? It is so backwards. There are veterans who are homeless right now. There are veterans who are having trouble. There are Americans who are not veterans, just homeless people who are struggling, people who don't have jobs, and yet we're spending all this money and effort to give every care in the world, every benefit to illegal immigrants. It's like, no, take that money and help Americans. I don't understand why we're helping all these people who shouldn't be here in the first place. It's not fair to the Americans who are struggling.
Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or
Yeah. It's backwards.
And he opposed his group opposed that. Also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery, refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
He just called President Trump a loser? I mean, that is uncalled for and really not cool.
He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taking better care. I'm so glad this came up. And
this is why I don't like Joe Biden and Democrats in general. They lie, unfortunately, and things that aren't true. Years ago, Joe Biden campaigned saying that the reason why he was running for president was because Trump was complimenting the KKK and the Proud Boys. Just 4 or 5 days ago, Snopes, which is a left-leaning fact-checking organization, finally came out and said that is a lie. Trump never complimented the Proud Boys and the KKK. And yet for the last 4 years, that was being paraded as truth. It's uncool. If Trump loses because on the merits, fine. But I don't like when a candidate loses based on lies that are perpetuated by the other parties.
The idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history.
I'm a veteran, and Joe Biden has done absolutely nothing for me. Zero. And I speak to my veterans. Joe Biden, I don't understand how he hasn't done anything. There's nothing that he's done for veterans, at least tangible. I go to the VA hospital for my things. I get my disability pension, but nothing has changed under the Biden administration, so I don't get that.
Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only
The people on
end
YouTube
this
Live.
war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed, and
No, I don't
Ukraine
really. I haven't met him.
abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So he's and they like
He's
him
the
more than
commander-in-chief.
just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know,
I talk about this too. When did Russia invade Crimea? When Barack Obama was president. When did Russia invade Ukraine? Joe Biden's president. Who invaded whom when Trump was president? Nobody. Wars ended under Trump. Wars began under Obama and Biden because they both are very weak foreign policy presidents. Trump is a badass, and people are scared of him, and they should be. People should be scared of the president of the United States. Most countries are not scared of America right now because our current commander-in-chief doesn't have the guts to do anything.
And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. And just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life.
Oh my God.
Never is that. We're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when they attacked.
This is far more interesting than...
Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that era. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Ukraine, told Trump, do whatever you want, do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. Listen to what he said when he went in.
If Trump encouraged Putin to do whatever he wanted, why did Putin do nothing when Trump was president? He only took military action when another Democrat, Obama, was in charge, and when another Democrat, Biden, was in charge, because they are historically weak. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The world was safer under Donald Trump, and that's just an absolute fact if you look at what happened with all of the military conflicts across the globe.
He let everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
You know, the fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people, and he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? You think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do.
What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. We're watching the presidential debate, Biden versus Trump.
All that money we give Ukraine and from weapons we make here in the United States, we give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden,
Who looks sad?
you've put
Trump
forward
or
a
Biden?
proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan that put forward. Which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is treating the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue.
He just said the third condition is no end of the war. No end of the war? I think that's what we want, is the end of the war.
What's happened? In Israel, we find that the only thing I denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people.
We're just watching the presidential debate, Freddie. Yeah, Trump does look sad a little bit. Look.
The world against Iran when they had a full-blown.
I have to admit, they both look funny when they're not talking. I'll give them back. I'll give both of them that.
No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world.
We save Israel. All Biden does is criticize Benjamin Netanyahu and not give them weapons that Israel needs to defend themselves. So I don't think he's really supporting Israel.
Like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened.
By the way, please click like, please subscribe if you haven't. Would love you to be a part of my awesome channel. My name is Monroe Mann. We're watching the presidential debate.
Population centers.
Just getting back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any, they were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all, you got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them.
Frozen grapes.
Because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them, as far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to. He said,
You're funny, Freddie.
Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden, you have a minute.
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You gonna stay in NATO? He's gonna pull out of NATO. The idea that we have, our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean.
I do admit Biden is he's doing well. He's holding his own. He's able to give cogent answers. So thumbs up to Joe Biden, huh?
Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations. Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have. But we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they're going to pay.
What's up, E39? We're watching the Trump-Biden presidential debate for who's going to be the next president of the United States. Very important stuff.
voters. I said, and he's right about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But
He may.
we're in the
I don't know.
position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point we'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't be fair and square.
You have
No.
80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who is a documentary filmmaker, what they say, but she's saying, oh no, it's my responsibility, I was responsible for this, because I offered her 10,000 soldiers for National Guard, and she turned them down, and the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying
They never talk about that. They always blame Trump. Trump asked for National Guard, said, I will provide National Guard soldiers. And Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats and the mayor of D.C. said, no, we don't want any additional defensive posture. And then they blame Trump for what happened when they turned down the defense. It's just bonkers.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up to the Capitol, number one. I sat in that dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked
No, can you keep watching so I can get watch time? Yeah, leave that there. Because I want to I'm getting watch time, which is going to help me get money from YouTube. I don't need to look at it.
He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing.
Please click like, guys. Please click like.
Damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out, and now he says that he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that there can be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What is he talking about?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent,
Can't follow him.
you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you've done is you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, if you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there, with the fires all over the city, if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. and they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now. And the fact of the matter is, what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I asked them those first two debates we had, first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud
He's
Boys?
doing a good job.
He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said
34 felonies?
You, quote, have every right to go after, unquote,
Yeah.
your political...
It's my mom.
You just talked about members of the select committee on January 6th going to jail.
Yeah.
Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight.
about?
Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said
Can I
my
look like a witch?
retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. He should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people...
Yeah, the election is November 4th, 2024. It's about 4 months from now. So this is the first of, I think, 3 debates.
That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with his son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're
4
lucky.
months.
You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir. Well, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting the women in public?
I do agree. I don't think it's possible that Biden could come up with this right. It's like someone. He's got to have an earpiece. Or there's got to be something, because when you see him during press conferences, he cannot communicate. Suddenly, he's got these amazing number 1, number 2, number 3.
Number one.
I think Trump's going to win too. E39.
Started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We have
You're funny, Freddie.
a terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage people. When the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But
Why is he looking off that way?
these cases, you know,
He's like looking off, like he's looking off stage. Shouldn't he be looking at Trump, the guy who's talking? This is weird.
Any campaign, I don't think any campaign has ever taken
Maybe he's
hundreds
being
of
here, but then
millions
he's
of
here
dollars
too. I'll
keep
turn
pouring
my
in
head to left.
because
Yeah.
the public knows it's a scam and it's a guy that's after his political.
Yeah, I think so too.
win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming out. he's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved in
Biden and his Justice Department have done exactly that by making all of these fake lawsuits against Donald Trump for doing nothing. Even Andrew Cuomo, the ex-governor of New York, said, and who was the former Attorney General of New York, said these cases would never have been brought against Trump unless he was running for president. If he were not running for president, he would not have been charged with any of those crimes in New York. Just absolutely bonkers. And maybe that's why he's looking to the left. I don't know. So that we don't see anything in his left ear. I don't know.
Whatever say, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same.
Nazis? He's bringing up Nazis? That's.
Fine people. This is a guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I don't know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense for American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story's been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden.
Don't say gyat.
It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all these.
He's got to be on drugs.
We saw it on our eyes. We saw what happened.
I don't know.
We saw the people breaking windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
So hold on a second. So we've got a break now. While we're waiting. So what do you guys think so far about the two candidates? Who do you think Trump is doing better? Do you think Biden's doing better? I'm impressed with Biden. He's doing better than I think a lot of people expected. But as Funsky 40 says, yeah, he is senile. I have my PhD in psychology. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I've studied the mind quite a bit. And you don't even need education to look at that and go that he's not completely in his right mind. And I feel bad for him. But that doesn't mean that you should allow him to run for president. Do you remember there were classified document cases brought up against Trump and against Biden? The Department of Justice said in the special counsel, I think it was Robert Hur, said Joe Biden did violate a number of classified document laws, but he's an old man with memory problems, so we're just not going to prosecute him. So we're not going to prosecute him for classified document things because he's senile, but we're going to let him run for president. We're going to let him run the free world. It's just absolutely crazy. Let me see some of these comments. They are both clowns. Biden is senile. Hey, Funsky. Good. How are you? Nice to see you. Keck says we're in trouble. Freddie's holding his vote. Same. Biden had them in his personal car. Yeah. I left my cookie in the fridge. Now it's hard. Good. So I have frozen grapes. You have frozen cookies. Let's see what the doggy thinks. Biden or Trump, Dancer? She wants a belly rub. A belly rub for Dancer, yes. A belly rub. Who would like a belly rub more, Biden or Trump? I think Trump. My mom says Trump would like the belly rub a little bit more.
He deserves a good one. He deserves to have a good massage.
Yeah, cute little puppy over here. And let me just check my battery. I'll be right back. Okay, 61%. We are still going strong. Just people on the YouTube live stream who have found me, my subscribers. I'm trying to explain YouTube Live to Mamacita. They're both corrupt, but I'll vote for Trump over someone whose one leg is already in the grave. The reason why I don't think Trump is corrupt is he has no reason to be because he's so wealthy already. Biden was not wealthy before he became a politician, and now he owns multiple mansions. It's absolutely bonkers. I personally think that there should be term limits for every politician in America, including senators and members of the House. I also believe that you shouldn't be paid. You know, people in the House of Representatives start off with something like $200,000 per year. Why would you ever leave that job? You would do everything you can to stay in power. But if you only get paid $5,000 as a stipend, then we know that you're actually doing it to help the country. And we're back. Let's see what they have to say. Here we go.
President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
To acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there are more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two,
I know.
the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans. And dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact of the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs.
And just think, if he's this incapable of speaking now, how is he going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now? Anyone who's an American who wants to vote for this, I think you're being very irresponsible as an American citizen. Freddie says the drug is dying down.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame you for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where all those black families and those black individuals provided had to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctor, and anything having to do with volunteerism, if they paid the bills for 10 years.
You're incredibly right, Funsky. The race problem in America doesn't exist as much as the media and the left make it.
Thank you, President Trump.
We are all one people, Americans. That's what we should be focusing on, 100%. They do want to separate us, and it's terrible.
It's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled, and tripled, and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 50% unemployment. He's decimated.
There's no inflation because the economy is flat on its back. That is the exact opposite reason of why inflation occurs, guys. Good night, Evelyn.
Millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered, if the ACA has increased, I made sure that they're $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have equity.
And that's just another lie. He says Trump wants to cut the cops. That is the exact opposite of what Trump wants to do and has said over and over again. And these last 4 years, it's been the Democrats and these Democrat-run cities that have defunded the police. So don't listen to what that's not true, guys. Not true.
We are confronting the devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are there. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to them, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job, great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks, and that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But when you see these millions of people pouring into our country and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet, it's a disaster.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $50 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and all that. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. He doesn't have the money, but now he'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have...
For those tuning in, my name is MonroeMann. Please subscribe, please click like, turn on the bell. We're watching the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius And then he went, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change. And he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get us under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We've made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps.
Look how cute she is, look.
People learn how to deal with that, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he is the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay that. And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck, and the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're gonna, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, not raising it.
You know how much money 1% of $1 billion is? It's more money than like 90% of the people paying their 6%. This is silly math.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing we'll do, we defeat this man, because he wants to get.
They don't want audience in there because the audience would probably be cheering on Trump or yelling at Trump or cheering on Biden. Maybe they thought this would make it go more quickly. I have to admit, it's very smooth, and we don't have a lot of distractions. So maybe this is a good way of doing things.
The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than
Oh, where's your
ever before.
phone? Are you still watching
And
the
as
stream?
recently as I
Give
said,
me your phone.
You're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because
Give
they
me
have a pre-existing condition. Only allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they in fact are part of the UCA. And by the way, the other thing
I
is,
don't know.
we're in a situation where we talk about education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants another $8,000. So anybody making over $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000.
Do you want to say something in my live stream?
You
can type. Look at the comments people are writing.
Thank you,
See?
President Trump.
Right down there.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen that he can look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. And everything he does is a lie. it's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie of the military.
Okay,
It's a
just leave it.
disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country and they're putting them onto Social Security, they're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid, they're putting them in our hospitals, they're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number
What?
two,
What did he say?
the idea that we're going to be in a situation where all
Nobody
these
followed
millions
that,
and millions,
that's for
as Ray
sure.
talks about it, illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. A reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst trend in history.
There is no way that if Trump's elected, inflation goes up and the economy goes down. I mark my words, if Trump wins the election, stock market skyrockets, inflation's down within 6-7 months.
Both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that Afghanistan.
What's up, everyone? What's up, Carly? What's up, CLVR? Kekurop, Funsky. Please click like if you haven't. If you're just joining us, we're watching the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And stick around afterwards because I'll have a little Q&A and we'll chat a bit.
From mental institutions, did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal and reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think, we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He's the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159 or 58, don't know the exact number, presidential historians. They had meetings and they voted. Who was the worst president in American history? One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. People argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child
Any
care.
any
He did very
poll any
virtually
poll
nothing with child care.
survey that puts
He
Trump as the
significantly
worst
increased the
president
child care
is a
tax
completely
code,
politically
which
biased
significantly increased
poll.
the availability
100%,
of
because there are plenty of presidents far worse than
single
Trump.
parents to be able to go back to work, and we should
It's just,
encourage
again, political
businesses
bias run amok.
to have
Thank you, President
child care
Biden.
facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your amendment.
Just so you understand, we have Poland, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the 2 of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life I grow up and I see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies.
RFK is better than Biden, but not better than Trump. I wish RFK were on the debate stage here. I'm sorry that he didn't make it,
Look, the fact of the
but
matter
c'est
is
la
that
vie.
he's dead wrong about it. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I never raised the tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. And this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming into the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in
I know.
food and all the things.
Yeah, he's got like Botox on his forehead.
He's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class has been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact.
Ask him what. I don't think I'm ever going to meet him, but if I do, how do the dinosaurs look?
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Yeah.
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy.
You know what I don't understand about fentanyl, and correct me if I'm wrong, the people who are dying from fentanyl are people who are taking illegal drugs, or people who are getting prescription drugs without a prescription. It's like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing these drugs anyway. So it's not like it's being a prescription drug epidemic, and you go get your codeine from the doctor, and then you take it and you die of fentanyl. It's because you're doing illegal drugs. How about stop doing drugs, people? Stop doing drugs. Thank you, CLVR. I know I've got your vote.
China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs.
I will say, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are actually doing a very admirable job as moderators. They're being very objective. They're letting everybody speak for their length of time. They're cutting people off, both of them, when they need to be cut off. So thumbs up for CNN for doing a good job with this debate.
Have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking.
Why are people in situations where they're getting their drinks laced with bad fentanyl? They're clearly drunk. They're hanging out with bad people. I don't get any of my drinks laced with fentanyl because I don't drink alcohol, and I'm not at these crazy clubs all the time, and I'm not drunk.
Fentanyl
I don't want to say they bring it upon themselves, but they're putting themselves in situations that are making it more likely that they're going to be around fentanyl. And it's like, don't get drunk and maybe you're not going to die of fentanyl. And if it's such an epidemic, stay away from that type of environment. That's my opinion. Yeah, look at his eyes. Is he not even blinking? Look, he doesn't. Is he blinking? Let's see if he blinks.
He called his Republican colleagues and said, "Don't do
Does
it.
he blink?
It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those.
By the way,
machines.
click like if you haven't. Hope you'll subscribe to my channel and be a part of the great MonroeMann adventure.
That's working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as I take office. Before I take office.
That's true, Carly. Good observation. I didn't even see that either.
As soon as I win the election,
Red for
I will have
Republicans
that
for
reporter
Trump
out.
and blue
He
for
should have had him out a
Democrats
long
for
time
Biden.
ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises. We are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people.
Politics is important. It's annoying and it's depressing and the news is depressing, but you have to be aware of what's going on in your country and in the world. If you're just oblivious to it, then you're going to wake up one day and you're living in a terrible nation that's not treating people well. You have to be part of the positive change that you want to see.
To build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. With the end of the world, name me a single major.
That's because we weren't really a failing nation until now. And I completely agree that the United States is going downhill at a precipitously fast rate. And unless we change it, we're going to go by the way of the dinosaurs, by the way of the Roman Empire. Very, very scary where we are right now.
Kim Jong-un, we sent letters to Putin and said they don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. For President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions, he couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in
What's
good
up,
shape as
Said
I was
Gunse?
25, 30
Good to
years.
see you.
Actually, I've
Memna
gotten a
Moldum.
bit lighter,
Good to have you here.
as good a shape as I was.
And we're watching the
years
presidential
ago.
debate.
But I
Please
told
click
myself-
like. Please
but I
subscribe to
was
Monroe
willing to
Mann's
take
channel.
the job
Thank you.
because- and you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor, and then I took another one, a similar one, and one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 225 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're, anyway, just take a look at what he says he is. Take a look at what he is.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And well, by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know, how
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Yeah,
Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
you
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made, in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody, and I'll tell you something, I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us.
I think it was funny that the only time they started arguing is about golf. You're right, Carly. Very, very funny. I've never played golf at the Wynn. No, I haven't. Let's get back and see what's going on here. Please click like if you haven't, guys.
They don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. Attack on one is attack on all. Required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done, what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people.
Look at Donald Trump's eyes, his irises. They're very big. His Donald Biden's, they're very tiny. They're very dilated. The opposite of dilated. They're very small. It's like that's again. I'm not saying if that he's on drugs or anything like that, but it's kind of weird. Why are his eyes? Maybe I'm just speculating.
President Trump,
I don't know.
I come back to you for a follow-up. The question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. Not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And you asked me a question before, when in Russia will never settle until such time. They're running out of people, they're running out of soldiers, they've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins, yes or no, please?
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level, because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there was all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accept anything, you can't stand loss.
Hey guys, my name is MonroeMann. Please click like. Hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Oh, we're at commercial break anyway, which is perfect. So I'm gonna mute this and let's discuss. Share your comments and we'll discuss about what the heck is going on. So this debate is still going. Interesting stuff. Funsky says, stay away from every outside conflict and focus on our own people. I agree with that to an extent. Somebody has to be the policeman of the world. Someone has to keep track of everything. And if it's not the United States, someone else is going to fill in that vacuum. So, but I do think that I don't think America first is a bad thing at all. I think every president's number one rule is that country first. President Macron should focus on France first. And President Xi in China should focus on China first. And guess what? Yeah, the President of the United States should focus on America first. And I don't know why it's such a controversial thing. Our mission should not be illegal immigrants first. Our mission should not be criminals first. Our mission should not be other countries first. It should be America first. And I want to vote for a president who puts Americans and veterans first. It's a simple thing, not very hard. Let me see what some of all these comments are here. Joe Biden and Trump, he just said that he was the youngest. Apparently he said he was the youngest when he became senator or back in the day. And CLVR is finally watching politics. Now you're hooked on it. Like I said, it's important that we all take interest in what's going on in our nation. Carly's earbuds ran out of battery. Joe looks like a penguin. Interesting. They're talking about golf. Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about the win. Trump. All right, so great. We're all caught up with comments. I thank you guys for watching. I think we're going to get at least about 10 hours of watch time from this, which will be fantastic. That will be a great help. As you guys know, I'm trying to get monetized. I'm currently at 740, I think, watch hours. We're trying to get up to, next milestone is 800, but ultimately 3,000 for the first stage and then 4,000 for the second stage. So anything you guys can do to watch some of my live streams that are recorded later, just turn them on in the background while you're doing doing the dishes or cleaning your room or driving in the car, listen in the background. If you can listen for 1 extra hour a day, guess what? That's an extra 30 hours that you've added to my watch time for the month. And that's going to really help tremendously. All right. that being said, by the way, do you guys know how long this goes until? Does it go until 11 o'clock? I think it maybe goes till 11. I don't know. And while we're waiting, I just got a text well, he knows, my friend knows that I'm supposed to talk to him at 11, but if the debate is still going on, then the debate is still going on. And Funsky40 says, stay away from every outside conflict. Again, ideally, that should be the perfect solution. But if there is something going on in the world that's going to impact America in some ways, if we don't intervene, then America, by necessity, probably needs to get involved. And I agree that sometimes America may get involved in certain, hey, what's up, Bill Waits, with a $sign in front. Click like, by the way. Hope you'll click like. Keck, you're up. I'm glad you're watching with me. It was a great idea, and I'm glad this is working out well. I'm glad that Seal VR and Carly and others who may not have watched a political debate like this are watching it now because of my channel. Makes me feel good that I am contributing to the cultural and educational development of the people who are watching. Oh, are we back or not? Let me see.
Always had a single penny increase in their
We're back.
taxes.
Let's take a look.
And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes in the United States of America. What I did, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior, all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that.
No one understands what he's saying. If he is this incomprehensible now, how is he going to be in a year? It's just bonkers. Just very bonkers. And you're right, it's very sad. The fact that they are pushing him to become president is unconscionable. And the fact that his wife, Jill Biden, it's like, you figure his wife would say, hey, Joe, please back out. Even let Kamala Harris do it. That's the purpose of vice president. I don't know what they're doing.
We want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. We talked about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times Charlottesville. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations and gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up
One thing I want to say is I've tried to do that. It's not as easy as Trump is telling you it is right here. And only certain veterans are allowed to go outside. So it's not a simple thing of like I can just go to any doctor. I still have to go through the Miami VA. And then only if it's under certain care can I go to a private doctor.
Now on CNN.
Oh,
And there you have it.
It's another-
A combative debate.
I don't know if I think we're on a break again. I don't know if they're gonna.
Good evening again. I'm Brett Baer.
And I'm Martha McCallum. Welcome to the post-game coverage.
Oh, so it's over, guys. I think it's over here. And
Jesse Waters, Kellyanne Conway, and Rick Hume. Sean Hannity also with us tonight.
so that is the end of the debate. What are your thoughts? Let me do a poll here.
And really the news came in the first few moments.
Who do you
President
think
Biden spoke his first
won
words
the
in a
debate?
very raspy voice, at times stumbling through early answers. 10 minutes in, he stopped flat on an answer, stopped short.
What do you guys think? Let's do this poll right here.
Has a cold and has had a cold. I hadn't learned that until tonight. On Saturdays, former President Trump continued
Who
to
do you
have
think
issues
won the
with border
debate?
security and illegal
We're gonna do a
across the border
a
again and again.
12-minute
President
post
Biden made comments on
post
defending NATO, but much of the
post-debate
back and forth
discussion,
had bad
and then I got to go get on this Zoom call.
arguing about that, even
A boring debate, but Trump won. Ripley thinks everybody won except Trump. Okay, we have 4 votes so far in the poll.
How they looked and how everyone reacted to this moment.
And Kekurop has got, what the heck emoji is that?
Very weak voice.
What is that, a rocket ship? A satellite or something with the American flag? I don't know. Matlin didn't watch, but Matlin's bet is on Trump.
There was sort of a bit of a freeze around 5 minutes into this. I mean, this is a problem. This is an issue.
I really think if people didn't know Trump and Biden, they knew nothing about these two people, and they watched this debate tonight, I think more people would say Trump has got to be the person to vote for. If someone just objectively looks at these two candidates, the obvious choice is Trump. And oh, it's an eagle. Oh yeah, eagle flag, eagle flag, eagle flag, eagle flag, eagle.
He can't deserve to be up there.
We got 6 votes, so everybody's thinking that Trump won. Who do you think won, Trump or Biden?
Everybody's going to be talking about. I'm going to play a clip of this in a little bit, but just one example. He said he went to Normandy and he spoke to World War II
And
veterans.
what is it? It's today is, it's almost July 4th. Once it's July 4th, it's then August 4th, September 4th, October 4th, November 4th. So literally we're just a few days over 4 months away from the election. Pretty crazy. 4 months away. What's that? Who? Yeah, he did better than I thought, but still not good. And Ripley says, I meant to say that America kind of lost tonight. Trump did better, but it wasn't even really a fair fight. He could have used a real debater to go toe-to-toe with. Yikes. Yeah. And it's I think it's a low blow that he brought this a convicted felon thing back in. He's a convicted felon on a trumped up charge that would never have been brought against absolutely anybody else in the United States, but for the fact that Trump was running for president and is Biden's arch nemesis. So that's a little crazy. I think Joe is 82 now. And Trump is 77 now. It's not even the 82. It's not the fact he's 82 years old, because there are a lot of people who are 90 years old and are still super sharp. How old is Berkshire Hathaway's guy, Warren Buffett? I think he's in his 80s, but he's still sharp. He's still very sharp. And yeah, that's right. And so we have 6 votes here. Let me see what they say. End poll. So there's the poll right there, guys. Trump, 100%, Biden, 0. And And as my mom said, Biden, and I believe it too, Biden did far better than I had expected, but still not good enough to make me want to think that he is mentally or physically capable of becoming a good good president for the next 4 years. I can't imagine if he were president for the next 4 years. Oh my gosh. What just blows my mind is people talk about the chaos that Trump sowed when he was in office. When Trump was in office, the world was in a lot safer place and there was a lot less chaos. It was a lot saner place, right? And during Biden's tenure, everyone talk about how Biden is the saner choice for democracy. I kind of feel like everything that the Democrats have done has been the opposite of protecting democracy, weaponizing the political justice system, going after political enemies, torpedoing the economy, doing nothing about inflation, allowing this invasion of illegal immigrants. How is that helping democracy? No, that's helping the Democrats stay in office. I've been reading all these stories about, and this is true, if any of you Americans have gone to the driver's license place to renew your driver's license, they're now saying, oh, have you registered to vote? And they're making, and a lot of illegal immigrants are able to get driver's licenses now, and then they say, sure, I'd like to register to vote. I mean, that is not good if we're encouraging and making it possible for illegal immigrants to vote in the election. Matlin, where do you live? Which country are you? And no, I don't think he has another 4 years in the tank. I don't think he has another 6 months in the tank. I think it's very frightening, and I don't understand why are they not taking him out of office and putting Kamala Harris. That's why you have a vice presidential candidate. It's really inexcusable and it's not fair to Joe Biden. I would vote. Yeah, of course you were. If you were an illegal immigrant, of course you would probably vote for Joe Biden, because Joe Biden and the Democrats are the ones who are allowing you to stay in this country illegally, and are giving you all these benefits and are giving you all of this American taxpayer money. It's just unfortunate. And 30 years ago, the Democrats and Republicans were like this. Now the left has gone all the way over there. The Republicans are still here. Democrats have just gone so far left. It's really strange. Can't have India ruling the USA. Kamala is a trophy. He hurts. So I'd love to hear what you think. He hurts. So please share what your opinion is. And your opinion is very valid here on this live stream, just as much as mine. Matlin is from, I don't know which flag that is. Can you let me know what flag that is? And he hurts. If you want to share your opinion, be sure to leave it here in the chat. And we're going to go for maybe another 7-8 minutes, because then I got to jump off and do a Zoom call with my my legal client. Fortunately, got to go make some money. Is Kamala hot? I think she's attractive. Why not? Oh, you're from South Africa. Okay. Cool, Matlin. Nice.
Too much for food, too much for...
I think I've told you this. I've been to Cape Town, I've been to Joburg, I've been to Plettenberg Bay, I've been to some other city in South Africa, but I can't remember. But it was really nice when I visited it. And I remember all those monkeys jumping all over us when we went up to Table Rock State Park. That was a little crazy.
I think that the Trump team could probably just take all the Democrats.
House alone after the Zoom? What does that mean, house alone? That doesn't make any sense. So, all right, so we're going to about wrap this up right now. Guys, I'm going to, I might do another live stream after this. I don't know. After I finish with my legal client, depends how late we work. But I will be back Saturday. I'm going to try to do an all-day live stream to try to get 100 hours of watch time in one day. I don't know if that'll be possible, but gonna do my best, gonna try. And oh yeah, I'm gonna go make some dollars. Mayor Willie Brown also found Kamala hot back in the day. Well, maybe Mayor Willie Brown's got a good eye. Finds a hot little lady, and it says and calls it out for what it is. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm glad we watched the debate together. It was a lot of fun. If you haven't, click like. If you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. Please take some time to, if you want to help me support this channel, please watch a couple of my live streams on your downtime, and help me get a little bit more watch time. So again, remember, Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. going to try to do an all-day long live stream. Going to get to 100 hours of watch time in one day. I hope you'll be a part of that. Thanks so much, guys, and have a great